In today's video, I'm going to be discussing Facebook ads for e-commerce brands, okay? For those of you who are new viewers, I work with e-commerce businesses. I've worked with over 100, and I've been able to kind of like go through the evolution of Facebook ad account structures and what are the best practices. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing how to test ads, how to set them up, what to do on the campaign level, on the ad set level, on the ad level, and how to scale them. What structure is the best for 2025 based on my personal experience and this last year. And we'll go through several other concepts. So stay tuned and make sure to stick until the end. With no further ado, let's get right into the video as usual. Great. So before we get into the structure and how to set them up, what are the best practices, what I've learned in 2024, and what we're going to start doing moving into 2025. Before we get into that, just so you know, we work with companies. If you are a new viewer, we work with over 100 companies, as I said in the intro of the video. This is just some proof, just to get the skepticism out of the way. In the last month, just for this client, and we have dozens that we work with, 1 dozen to be exact. We typically work with 12 clients at a time. But for the dozen of clients that we have, we typically spend quite a lot on meta ads. This is just one of our clients. We spend 170,000 with, let's see, 2.47x return on ad spend, generating over $400,000 just on meta ads alone. Okay, and so we also have some clients that do same numbers, even of course a lot bigger numbers, and across multiple channels. Okay, so this is just last month. Let me just refresh so this is real. Now that we got the proof out of the way, and that I've seen accounts scale pretty significantly, let's get into the actual part of the video which I wanted to discuss. And I'm not sure why this is grayed out. Let me just go back into it. Okay, cool. So first of all, I showed you the proof. These are just some other clients that we scaled or that we're helping to scale, 8-figure businesses here and there, but I already spoke about that. Now let's talk about the video, the topic of the video, how to scale ads. And there's different ways to do it, okay? So I'm going to be discussing kind of like, before I get into this important and viral topic about Facebook ad structures, I also want you to understand one quick thing, is that whenever we work with a client, and I'm just going to talk based on personal experience, if the client comes to us and they're spending $300,000 a month or $100,000 a month, even $50,000 a month, whatever the number is, and something is working on their account, okay? Of course, there's ways and strategies to improve upon the structure and all that stuff. Well, there's two things that I want to say. First of all, the most important thing will be creative. That's by far the most important thing. If you do not craft good creatives, if you're not analytical about structuring and delivering high quality creatives, whatever you do with your ad account will just not work. Okay, it's not based on the structure. The structure is what allows you to scale to that next level. But the first step that you have to nail down is the creative. So that's step number one. Step number two, whenever clients come to us, and let's say they're doing 50K a month, and they spend 50,000 and they have an ABO structure with a CBO campaign, or maybe they have like a particular structure that's like ACS and campaign and ABO, right? If that works for them, and we don't necessarily maybe agree with that structure, it's not that the first thing that we do is like we switch everything. We have to understand that, as I always say here in the bottom, let me just skip through the whole kind of sauce here. 1 second. Is that if this is the ad account, it's used to doing ABO, ACS, and ABO retargeting, and they have a testing one. If we want this to be the ideal kind of like setup, we can't just go from here to here. So I always say, like, ad accounts are like humans. If they get used to something, they like the routine of it. Okay, so we like routine, right? Going to the same coffee place, going to it's daily routine, right? So we like routine. So new campaign structure surprises the ad account, and it needs more time to optimize again. So you can't just go from one structure to another. So which is something that we do not do, right? If we want to go really to a different structure, we make the shift very, very gradual so that it's like almost seamless, and the ad account doesn't even notice that what's happening. Okay, so bear in mind with this. So there's two typical things that I want to discuss in this video. The first thing is kind of like an ABO structure, and this is good if you're like, sorry, 1 second, somebody's calling me. Let me put something off. What I want to talk about is like if you are in the position where you're maybe starting out This is a structure that I would really recommend, so that you also are in control of what you're testing. So ABO is something that has been always around, right? It's the most old style and old school strategy. It's an ABO. So ABO, you're in control of your ad sets, meaning you can control, the spend, particularly compared to like maybe other campaigns like CBO. You can be in control of how much this will spend no matter what. With CBO, you put 5 ad sets, maybe 3 don't spend at all. Okay. So the reason why I like this as a kind of like a beginner stage is because, or maybe whenever you have a new ad account or you're like starting out, is because it's a good way to warm up the account. But not only that, it's mostly because you want to see, it's not really for warming up, because we have other campaigns for warming up, like page likes campaigns at $25 a day. That's a good strategy for a week, and you're warming up the account. But that's another topic for another video. But with this strategy, what was I going to say? You essentially have control over the ad set, as I said, for the third time. But I wanted to say also that essentially it allows you to test all of the possible angles, and then you see what the CPMs, the cost per clicks, the add to cart ratio, the add to cart cost, initiate checkout. You basically see all of these numbers and metrics within each maybe marketing angle that you want to test, or a creative concept that you want to test. And so in this example, we basically spent $80 for each for 3 days, and we forced the spend, meaning that it's an ABO, right? It's not the CBO, like you don't have control over it. And then we noticed that particularly like these two were really standing out. So the next thing that you do is that you basically, this is a farming phase, I like to call, because you're farming and you're trying to understand what roots are gonna grow. Like you're trying to understand what's actually maybe giving you better results. This is not for scaling, okay? Scaling is mostly CBO. Now, if this ABO campaign is doing quite well, can you increase the budget by 20%? Sure, but it's like, these are maybe campaigns that start at like 20, 30, 40, $50 a day, and going from like that to like really scaling to like $5,000 budgets, ad sets, it's not the best approach in my opinion. Is it possible? Have we done it before? Yes, but I think it's better to scale with the CBO, and I'll explain why in just a second. So you can run like $10, $20 per day. It's also depending on your AOV. Maybe if you have $100, $150, $200 AOV, also like $50 a day was probably 30, 40, $50 a day is going to be ideal. Leave the ads running for three times your ideal cost per acquisition. So if your ideal cost per acquisition is $30, leave it at least at 90, 100, 120, and then you can make your decisions. That's what I would recommend, okay? And then these are D2C ads. I mean, you can run flexible ads, or you can also just run like three to four ads per campaign. So this is the structure that I would use if you're maybe starting out a new ad account or a new business, just so you are in control of the marketing angles, and you can generally see what the ad account is gonna, like the information and the data that your ad account is gonna give you back based on the angles that you wanted to test personally, okay? Now, once we find what works, we can just get what works and we plug it into a CBO, and this is where the 3-2-2 strategy comes in play. It's pretty well known. It's a topic that maybe went viral in like 2024, and every business is really getting into this approach of scaling into 2025. And I've seen many businesses, including my clients, that came to us with this structure, and they really had a healthy ad account. It's low management, meaning all you have to do is make sure you upload creatives at least once a week, every 7 days, every 5 to 7 days. And then you turn things back on and off throughout the week as you evolve and analyze the ad account. But it's not like super high management. This is a much more of a high management campaign, because you're in control of every single ad set, and it's kind of like monitoring everything at the same time. While this one is doing the job for you, right? Now, why do I like this campaign? I like this campaign because we need to understand that when scaling, Facebook is very good at prioritizing what they think will work, and in most cases, not every time, but in most cases, it's like they have your best interest. They want to give you the ROI, so it doesn't technically make sense not to listen to them. Now, going back to this, just so you can understand the correlation between ABO and CBO. Let's just say you start the ABO with the strategy that I explained before, and you see that these two marketing angles are working very well. So the turkey neck angle and the natural remedy or natural solution angle, assuming we're selling like a whatever skincare product, are the ones that worked. You put these into the CBO, and the way that we structure this is that each campaign is a product, or it could be a country. So you could have maybe these could be the same product, maybe like just different markets, which is completely different. Like maybe the US market is completely different, not maybe, for sure, compared to the UK market. And so we maybe want to divide those as well. But like, we typically do, we divide them by country and also by product, most importantly. We don't want two products colliding and competing against each other. We want these to compete against just one product. This is how we see it. And so we get the winning ones over here, we put them over here, and this is a good starting foundation to start testing and scaling at the same time. Because I have to say one thing, if you go from this setup, because you're starting out, as I said before, and these two, you choose that these two are the best performers, they don't have to be like 100% profitable. You need to see some like decent kind of metrics and numbers, good cost per clicks, good CTR, so that you can see the opportunity of making them work. And then you can put them here and you can start with that as a foundation without just shooting in the dark, essentially. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, if you already have the structure and you're already doing CBOs, this is a good structure to test for sure. If you're doing other account structures and nothing is working, maybe just get into this immediately, because it's what I recommend. Now, do all of my clients, just to clarify, do all of my clients run with this structure? No, but for the reason that I mentioned before, because if somebody comes to us and they're doing 200K a month in ad spend with a 3x ROAS, and they have a particular ad structure that's not maybe coherent with our belief system, it doesn't mean that we have to flip their business, right? We have to adapt to it and then maybe see if it makes sense to flip. So I just want to do that note. So there isn't one way to scale a Facebook ad account. I just want to make sure that's clear. So make sure to stick until the end. Okay, hopefully I'm not being too boring here in this video, but there's a lot of rules that I want to touch base here that are really, really important. But before we go on, one product, we want to have at least, 5 to 7, 8 ad sets active at once. We don't want like 15 or 20 typically. It's not best practice. But the way that we scale here is with marketing angles and creative concepts. And we kind of do the same thing over here. So each ad set, no matter whether it's an ABO or a CBO, is going to have to be, in our opinion, a marketing angle combined with a creative concept. I'll give you an example. Marketing angle is turkey neck, so we're providing a solution for people that have like turkey neck, so for older people. And a creative concept can be, turkey neck, and the ads are going to be all about like before and after concepts. So they're all going to be before and after stories, right? About people that went from this and that. So that's a creative concept. Another creative concept could be, image ads, or doing the image ad that's like, a high perceived, high quality image ad, just literally, or features and benefits. That's another creative concept. Or ASMR video. That's another creative concept. So hopefully you got the point. So it's going to be a combination of one of the two. One creative concept and one marketing angle. And this is how we scale. And we see what's profitable, what's working, what's spending, and then we put most of our energies there. So for example, we tested these 4 marketing angles. We noticed that these 2 scaled. What's the next step? We want to move forward and do turkey neck and do natural solution, maybe with different creative concepts, so that we can add more ad sets. But general kind of like rule here is that you should add ad sets once a week. You let it run for 7 days. Within the 7 days, I'm going to go through some rules, some management rules. There are going to be some rules that you have to set up and oversee and kind of like control the ad account to make sure that you're not wasting money. But you should put ads and add ad sets every single week, just at the end of the week, start of the week, at least once a week. It doesn't really matter, okay? So this is how we're scaling. We're scaling from a creative perspective, not because we have like a super fancy ad account. And then when things work, we try to scale the budget by 20%. But in that, I'm going to be discussing about all of that in just a second over here. These are D2C ads. We like to run flexible ads. Not always, but in most cases we do, because these ads are not going to be completely different to each other. They're all going to be related to the turkey neck angle. These ads are going to be related to the natural solution angle, right? And with the flexible ads, people might be saying, oh, you don't have control and you can't really see what ad really worked. But if we have to be honest, we don't really care too much, because all of these ads are quite similar. Maybe they have like a similar storyline or just different hooks, but same body. So it's like very, very similar structure in terms of turkey neck. The turkey neck angle, and very similar in structure with the creative concept, because we don't want to test like 7 different creative concepts in one ad set, because then we have too many variables. The only variables we want to test is the angle, the turkey neck, and choosing one specific creative concept. ASMR, before and after, features, benefits, whatever you want, okay? So hopefully this makes sense. Let's go into the structure of how to actually manage this. Test 2 to 3. This is it depends on your budget as well, and what you're doing and how fast you're turning things off and on, also depending on budget. But typically, if you are able to do 2, 3, let's just say 2 to 4 ad sets every 7 days with the 3 to 2 strategy. And by the way, why is it called 3 to 2? I didn't explain. It's 3 videos or images, 2 headlines, and 2 ad copies on a flexible ad. So you open the flexible ad option, you select it, and then you add 3 images or videos, 2 headlines, and 2 ad copies. And what the flexible ad does is that it mixes and matches all the combinations to give you the best results. Okay, that's what it is. Now, moving on. Each ad set will either be a new marketing angle or a new creative concept with a marketing angle that showed promising results. 80% towards proven concepts, 20% towards new concepts. Let me explain that very quickly. We want to spend 80% of our time on creative concepts and marketing angles that are working. Why? Because they're working, and that's where we should spend 80% of our time. I hate it when clients just give me like a billion ideas, and just because they think something can work, and then we test all those ideas, and then the ad performance, we agree with the client that's, they want to test it, sure, let's give it a go. But the ad performance, the ad account performance goes down because we're focusing literally 80% of our resources in things that we don't know if they're going to work, right? So it makes the most sense to do 80% to 20%. 20% should go towards new marketing angles, new creative concepts, like that combination of the part. And the reason why it's 20% and it's not 0 is, of course, because we want to keep a pipeline of new things so that every month or every 2 months or whatever, we find new angles that can scale, and we can scale horizontally, and we can keep on adding ad sets that compete against each other, and essentially one will win and we will be able to spend more, not just $150, but like $3, $4, $5, $10,000 on just one campaign per day, right? That's the ultimate goal. And yeah, so let's go through some rules, management rules. This is really, really important. Okay, for testing, check ads every 3 to 5 days. Okay, every 3 to 5 days, check your ads. First of all, if the ad set doesn't spend, turn it off. Because if the ad spend, let's just say we have these ad sets. Don't look at the colors here. Just look at the concept over here. Let's say we have these 4 ad sets, and this one just doesn't spend, just spending very, very little. After 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, if it doesn't spend, turn it off. Actually, if I have to correct myself, if it doesn't spend a lot, but it's like giving you some results or decent metrics, just leave it on until the 7 days, when you actually, like, the 7 days is when you make the ultimate decision. The 3 to 5 days is like turn things on and off if there's like a red flag, meaning it's like it's really unprofitable. So if it didn't spend, at the end of the 7 days, turn it off. This is what I would do. Okay, so I would correct this because it depends. I say 3 to 5 days, but it could also be 3 to 7 days. So let me just change it because it makes the most sense based on what I just said. Okay, if the ad set doesn't spend, turn it off after 7 days. Okay, if the ad set doesn't spend a lot and it's really unprofitable, just turn it off after 5 days, perhaps. You'll have to see based on the other ad sets that are running. If the ad set gets significant spend, but the cost per acquisition, your ROAS, is just bad, turn it off. There's no reason. If the ad set gets significant spend and the CPA is bad, just turn it off, because you don't want that to drag the profitability of the entire campaign down, right? So if the ad set gets significant spend really, really fast, right, in like 1 or 2 days, it spends like 80% of the budget, of the campaign budget, and it spent basically 3 to 4 times of the target cost per acquisition. So if the target cost per acquisition is $25 and it spent 3 to 5 times in just like one quick day, very, very fast, immediately, at that point, just turn it off, because it's not profitable. Okay, so we have to be also aggressive when we need to, so that it doesn't affect the status of the profitability of the entire campaign. Because there's nothing worse than just leaving something on just because there's the thing that, oh, you have to leave it on for 7 days. No, you don't have to leave it on for 7 days. Only leave it on for 7 days when it makes sense, or when it gives you decent metrics, so that you can give it a shot. But if there's horrible metrics, like we had an ad set last week that was like spending 90%, in like 4 or 5 hours, and it was like the cost per clicks were like $4. Like, it didn't make any sense. We just turn it off immediately. Okay, if the ad set gets a lot of spend and the CPA is great, or just doesn't really hurt the business too much, just leave it on. This is what we kind of like, it doesn't hurt it. If it's profitable, you leave it, right? If it doesn't hurt the campaign and you're maybe breaking even, or slightly profitable, I would say, maybe not breaking even, but slightly profiting, and you're getting data, you're still profiting, it's not hurting the entire campaign structure, just leave it on. Okay, if the ad set gets low spend and the cost per acquisition is great, okay, leave on and reevaluate in 7 days. Okay, if the ad set gets low spend and the CPA is decent or great, just leave it on for 7 days. This is kind of like what I was talking about here before as well. Okay, because we want to give it 7 days, because what Facebook happens in the CBO campaign is that maybe day 1, 2, 3, 4 it's just not spending, but what if day 5, 6, and 7 spends, right? If you turn it off at day 3, you didn't give it a shot, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Scaling, and this is where it's fun. If the campaign level has a great cost per acquisition, meaning that it's very profitable. Let's just say your target CPA is 2x and you're either getting 2x or 2.5x. Increase the budget by 15 to 20%. I would say, and switch it to 20% after, actually. Be a little bit aggressive. So 20% every 24 hours. So if day 1 is 2.2 ROAS and your target is 2, scale. Next, if that day is 2.1 or 2.5, scale by 20%. The day after, good, you scale. You keep on scaling until you see some decrease in ROI, okay, where it doesn't make sense anymore. We have to be aggressive with this every 24 hours. If the campaign shows bad cost per acquisition for more than 3 days, or I would say not even for more, for 3 days, at least for 3 days, like not at least, but for 3 days, let's just say at the third day you see a bad ROI for the third day in a row, then turn it off, because 1 day is not enough. It could just be a bad day. Second day could just be an unlucky, but if it's just like a third day, it's like the rule of thumb, like 1, 2, 3, you're out, right? So 3 days, if that is the case and you still see bad ROI after 3 days, you can scale down by 20% each day until you reach stability again. So if it's 2.5, you're scaling 2.5 again, and then it's like 1.7, you leave it on. 1.7 another day. 1.8, still not above target. Decrease at the third day to 20%. Maybe if you have $1,000 budget, you decrease that by 20%. So that's $800 a day in budget. And then if after that it's still 1.8, decrease again. If then it's 2.5, just leave it on. Maybe let it stabilize for like 2-3 days. And then if it still maintains, you can just try to scale again. But this structure doesn't really work if you don't really add ad sets every single week, right? If you don't add ad sets every single week, the ad account is just not going to change. It's going to, like, if it can't scale, it can't scale. So to make it scale, we have to force it by feeding it, treats. These are the treats, the creative treats, right? We got to feed the ad account with good food, essentially. Okay, so if that's not the case and you're just hoping for some magical ad account structure, just go away from this video, because it's not for you. This is for businesses that really want to scale aggressively, spend, $7, $10, $15, $20,000 a day minimum, and really, and really have a scalable business. This is a great structure. I really, really love it. You don't really think too much about your ad sets. You just focus on creatives. You turn things off and on every 3 to 7 days. And you launch new ads every 7 days. This is how we do it. And this is the account structure once again. And if there's one thing that really, really matters with all of this thing, is that the main strategy is to track creative performance. How do we know if we want to test this natural solution angle or this turkey neck? What about the creative concept? Like, how do we choose things? We choose things by analyzing everything. So what I'm showing you here is actually a tool called Altria. Let me show you very, very quickly. And in this tool, you can essentially, I cannot click on, we have some clients on it, not every client, but we do have some clients here. I cannot show you within their metrics. It doesn't make any sense. I sign NDAs, but essentially what you can do is this is what you're going to see within your ad account. You can click on a brand. It could be your brand as well, and you're going to have, in this case, I have to follow the brand to get more information, but if you hook up your account on Acha, you'll be able to find winning hooks, ad copies, headlines, all of this data, winning landing pages, winning personas, winning angles. All this data is going to be reported to you with this format. So with breakdowns, it's visually a bit different when you're a client compared to just looking at your competitors on Acha, but it's actually better when you upgrade. I think it's $200 a month, $150 a month, and you can actually connect your whole company, and it gives you all of these kind of documents the journey with you and tells you where the majority of spend is going, where the most profitable is. So in this case, like for this client, problem solution was the most profitable. The angle with like the free gift angle was the most profitable. The main emotion that we're inspiring in the ads is like excitement and relief, and confidence are the top three, right? So it gives you all this analytical data that's really, really important to understand, okay, what's spending, what's getting an ROI, what's spending, what's getting an ROI from the ads, from the creatives, from the images, videos, hooks, copies. You can essentially, it's going to give you a breakdown of what is working in the market. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. There also is another way that we do it, honestly, and it's a great way, and it's with the demo command center. If you want the sheet, we can give it to you. This sheet essentially has a creative testing tracker where every single ad set that we test over here, every single ad set, right, all of these is a creative test on our demo commands, on our command center over here. So this is an ad set, and we track everything. This is the ad set name, whether it's an image or a video, the date, the month during the year that we launched, the product name, break even just for on reference, the creative concept, the marketing angle, the avatar that we use, the messaging, the copy, the copywriting, the ad copy link for the ad copy that we use, the creative link, and then the status, whether it's live, whether it's profitable or not. In this case, it's like to be determined, maybe because it didn't spend enough, right? And then it's all color coded, meaning we can easily find correlations on what ad sets are working. And then we have final notes where we can essentially put our own conclusions. But between this and this sheet, it gives us, this kind of like tracking dashboard, it gives us a very good understanding of what we should be testing on the ad account. Because once again, we don't do random tests. They have to be calculated. We can't just randomly wake up in the morning and think of a test that we want to, put on the ad account. It has to be calculated and based on data and based on your best performing. Once again, the 80%, 20% rule. And then of course, we have the 20% where we can just kind of like explore opportunities. Maybe we test an angle that one of our direct competitors is really killing it with, that we maybe didn't have a chance to test. That's the 20%, but we don't know if it's gonna work for us, right? So hopefully this video was valuable. I know that it did go over. I did jump between one topic and another, but long story short, keep it simple, focus on creative, track all of your metrics, and follow these rules. The reason why I have rules is that I don't have to then go think about what I should do. I can just go look at my rules and follow them, because there's nothing worse than doing all these things, taking care of the headlines and the copy and the CBO and the ABO and the structure, and then you also have to think about, oh, I should turn it off, should I turn it off? It's like it fucks with your mind, to be honest. And so I set rules. Is this the only way to scale your ad account in 2025? Absolutely not, 1000% not. But this is something that works for us. We've also have other agencies, partner agencies that we know use this structure, and it works very well. And we're trying to get into this for as many clients as possible, because it's a structure that we like. Okay, let me know if you have any specific questions about ad account structures for meta ads in 2025 for ecom brands or whatever, and I'll make sure to answer them in the comments below. And also let me know if you have any other new ideas for new suggestions. One quick thing before I leave you: if you are an e-commerce brand doing at least 50K a month to 100K a month, we're actually offering free audits. To give you the opportunity to audit a company with me personally, I can go into the account, have a conversation with you, see what are your bottlenecks, and then at the end of the call, if we feel like there's an opportunity where we can both make money out of it, then we can explore the opportunity of working together if we have capacity, of course. We don't always have capacity. Okay, see you in the next one, and peace.